All right, so it's important to point out before we get into this that this weekend was actually a holiday weekend. It was Labor Day weekend. I know Labor Day is today, but usually the whole weekend is a big thing. It's the last weekend of summer, and people go out and do stuff. One of the things people usually like to do is go to the movies. And what's crazy about this weekend is that a movie from I believe it was the 80s, right? Jaws. An old classic movie. Actually beat out a bunch of new releases. And I'm going to tell you, Hollywood is a little concerned about that. We're going to get into it, but real quick, a big round of applause for Fantastic Four finally reaching that $500 million milestone. A big number, which you would think would finally cause Marvel to celebrate because it's $500 million, but no. This movie is still not profitable at $500 million, which is a joke. You need to figure things out, Hollywood. The days of just releasing these bloated-ass movies, those are over. Those are over. And they're worried about it. We're going to get into this Hollywood Reporter article in a second. They're not making money anymore, and they are scared. But first, let's go over the numbers. Weapons remains number one, but still, this was kind of an underwhelming weekend. But here's the big thing. Jaws came in at number 2. That's huge. That is huge. 9.8 million is what it made. It almost beat Weapons. People rushed out. It's got the total here. If you adjust that for inflation, it's much higher than 283. Much higher than that. But this movie, man, it crushed new releases. Caught Stealing, a new release. Roses, that's got Benedict Cumberbatch in it. Doctor Strange. That movie came out to a thud. Fantastic Four got knocked down to number 7. Still has not surpassed Superman. Superman had a much better domestic run than Fantastic Four. But yeah, this is really interesting. People are willing to come out for old movies, and there's a certain comfort to an older movie. You know what to expect. You know how it's going to be. There's no surprises, nothing weird. You can go in and see it and enjoy it, and you get kind of the satisfaction of seeing it in the movie theater experience. There's something to that. And I think you're going to see more of this. I noticed Back to the Future is going to IMAX, which is interesting because I think that aspect ratio, what do you do? Do they cut things off of the sides of the movies? IMAX is weird because it took so long to make, the widescreen litter box, the standard, the 16:9 TV is a thing, and now it's like we're going back to the old ratio with IMAX. There's a whole different thing there. But Jaws, crushing it. And it was a big event. This is a Drunk 3PO screening. I think this is over at the Universal Theater or the Disney Theater. No, it's the Universal one. So this is the one that's at, I believe they have one, I forget what they call it, but it's the little boardwalk. They had a big event there. Big event. And I think that these are cool. Make these big events out of these older movies. That's a way to get some revenue. And it's all easy revenue, too, because the movies are already done. But, yeah, box office, this was a pretty bad year for Hollywood. They thought that by now people would be going to the theaters again, and it's just not happening. There's no rush for it. In fact, streaming movies has kind of killed it. And there's some interesting stuff I've highlighted here, like this. This is coming from an executive, a top studio executive that spoke with Hollywood Reporter. I'm very, very nervous for the future, says one top studio executive. There are all of these studios and companies making movies. I don't think there is enough audience for them. That's a big deal. And then right here, you have some research from Just Media Watch. Listen to this. They found that weeks ago, only 25% of people said they'd prefer to wait to see a summer movie on streaming. That's a healthy sign. But in more recent days, this is how quick it changed. That number shot up to more than 36%, which hits mid-sized movies particularly hard, as well as being a major reason why the sheer number of people going to the cinema may never equal pre-COVID times. The international box office, that's another thing. You can't count on them anymore, and they make a good point here. They have their own content now. Well, they've always had it, but it's been exploding, particularly out of the Asia market. Studio insiders say a raft of other markets in Asia have soured on U.S. movies as local content flourish. That includes South Korea and markets across Southeast Asia. One startling example, Hollywood titles used to make up 50% of the box office revenue in Vietnam. Now it's just 14%. The downturn has hurt superhero picks in particular, explaining the lackluster performance of Marvel's Fantastic Four and DC Studios' Superman. They have their own content now, and it's getting better and better. Look what's going on in Japan. You have that Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie, killing it internationally. It's already made its money back. It's coming to America soon. This weekend, actually. I've got my tickets. I'm very excited to watch it. Looks really good, actually. Pumped for it. But the thing here is, what do they need? What do they need Fantastic Four or Superman in Japan when they have bangers like that coming out all the time? The demand for American products is just going down. Down and down. Now, maybe they can turn that around, but internationally, they've got their own stuff. It's something that they need to take into account. Like Superman stepping away from truth, justice, and the American way. That was stupid to do. And they did that for international audiences. Maybe one good thing is they can learn to take these budgets down and maybe start leaning towards the American audience first. That's what makes these kinds of things special. Like Japan's anime market is huge now. And one of the things, in my opinion, that makes that stuff so special is it puts Japan first. I like that. And that is what helps make that stuff popular. Maybe you should start catering to American audiences, and that'll make these projects more special to overseas markets. You can't tell me that didn't help pictures like Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick was huge internationally. And that movie was very practically glorifies the military. I think people like that stuff. It's just kind of a peek at another culture, and you're turning that down to turn these into these international movies. You were able to trace that dragon for a minute, and it's just not, the high just isn't there anymore, is it? So it's just not worth it to me. Superman there should have been a scene of him carrying an American flag, just like in the old Reeves ones. He's associated to that very closely, always has been. And as much as they try to change that, that is always going to be a part of that character, and it's just never going to change. They made a mistake making him an international character. That was always stupid. So, I think if Superman would have been more Top Gun-ish, and by that I mean embracing his roots, the dude was literally World War II propaganda. They used him to sell war stamps and bonds during World War II. Like, you're making a mistake there. And I liked Superman. Like, I did not hate on that movie when it came out. I liked it. And, I think it could have done a hell of a lot more if at some scene he was like, I stand for truth, justice, in the American way. That would have been great. But, yeah, they're scared. You got a a top studio executive. I'm very, very nervous for the future. Well, you should be. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.